You checked your bank account this morning. Maybe you did it without even thinking about it. You opened the app, glanced at the number, and closed it again. Nothing felt wrong. Nothing felt off. But somewhere between last Monday and right now, $300 disappeared. And you cannot explain where it went. This is not a budgeting problem. It is not a willpower problem. It is not a you problem. It is a design problem. And the design is working exactly the way it was built to work. Here is what nobody tells you. The financial system does not just profit from the big purchases. The mortgage, the car payment, the student loan, those are visible. You see them coming. You brace for them. The real money, the quiet money, is made on the purchases you never actually process. The $4 coffee, the $2 song download, the $6 delivery fee, the $12 monthly subscription you forgot you signed up for. These are not accidents. They are architecture. In 2001, a researcher named Drazen Prelec at MIT ran a study that would quietly reshape how every major retailer and bank in America thought about spending. He called it the pain of paying. The premise was simple. When you hand over physical cash, your brain registers a small but measurable emotional response. It hurts. Spending cash activates the insula, the part of your brain that processes physical pain and disgust. That friction is not a flaw. That friction is your brain trying to protect you. Prelec found that when payment friction disappears, spending goes up. Not a little, significantly. When people paid with credit cards instead of cash, they bid nearly twice as much for the same item in an auction. The product did not change. The price did not change. Only the payment method changed, and that single change nearly doubled what people were willing to spend. Now think about what has happened to payment friction over the last 15 years. Apple Pay, Google Pay, one-click checkout, tap to pay. Every innovation marketed as convenience was also quietly the systematic removal of every neurological brake your brain has on spending. Each tap is a fraction of a second. No wallet, no cash, no pause, no pain. Just a vibration and a check mark, and the money is gone before your brain has time to register what happened. This is not a side effect. Visa published internal research showing that contactless payment transactions are completed in under half a second. Their own documents describe this speed as reducing hesitation at the point of sale. Hesitation is the word they used. Your hesitation, the moment where you might have thought twice. They engineered it out of the process. But the invisible spend does not stop at the payment method. There is a second mechanism operating underneath it, and this one is even harder to see. Behavioral economists call it the denomination effect. It was formally documented in a 2009 study by Priya Raghubir and Joydeep Srivastava, published in the Journal of Consumer Research. Their finding was precise. People treat large bills differently than small ones. A $50 bill feels like money. A $5 bill feels like change. And a digital transaction for $4.79 feels like almost nothing at all. This is why subscription pricing exists in the form it does. Spotify does not charge you $72 a year. It charges you $5.99 a month. Netflix does not ask you for $180 annually. It asks for $15.99 this month. The annual number would register. The monthly number slides past. And the daily number, 49 cents a day for this service, would barely register as a rounding error in your mental accounting. There are over 200 million active subscription accounts in the United States right now. The average American adult underestimates their monthly subscription spending by nearly $80. That number comes from a 2022 C+R research study that surveyed over 2,500 Americans. $80 a month, nearly $1,000 a year. Quietly gone, not stolen, not hidden, just never fully seen. Your brain has a term for this. Psychologist Richard Thaler, who won the Nobel Prize in Economics in 2017, called it mental accounting. The idea is that your brain does not treat all money as equal. You divide it into invisible mental buckets: rent money, fun money, emergency money, and crucially, small money. Below a certain threshold, the mental accounting system simply stops tracking. The transaction does not get filed. It dissolves. Retailers and app developers know exactly where that threshold sits. It hovers somewhere around $10 for most people in their 20s and 30s. Below $10, most transactions do not trigger a conscious review. They are categorized automatically as negligible and forgotten within hours. Above $10, the brain wakes up. It asks questions. It remembers. So the pricing is set just below the line where you start paying attention. Think about Uber Eats for a moment. The delivery fee is $4.99. The service fee is $2.50. The small order fee is $2. The tip suggestion defaults to 18%. By the time your $15 meal arrives, you have spent $26. But the transaction felt like a $15 dinner decision. The rest was noise. The rest was invisible. DoorDash reported $1.9 billion in revenue in the first quarter of 2024. The food is not where the money is. The fees are where the money is. And the fees are priced precisely at the level where your brain classifies them as negligible. There is one more layer, and this one operates entirely below the level of conscious thought. Daniel Kahneman, the psychologist whose research on cognitive bias won him the Nobel Prize in Economics, described two systems of thinking. System 1 is fast, automatic, emotional, and effortless. System 2 is slow, deliberate, analytical, and effortful. Nearly every financial interface you use today is explicitly designed to keep you in System 1. The bright colors, the smooth animations, the one-tap confirmations, the default settings, the progress bars, the rewards notifications, all of it is designed to keep your deliberate thinking brain offline while your automatic spending brain runs the show. This is not a conspiracy. It is a documented design philosophy. It has a name in the industry. It is called friction reduction, and it is the single most studied variable in digital product design. Every major consumer app, every bank app, every food delivery app, every streaming service has a team whose entire job is to find and eliminate the moments where you might stop and think. Here's what this has already cost you. Pull up your last 3 months of bank statements, not to judge yourself, just to see. Add up every transaction under $15, every coffee, every delivery fee, every app purchase, every subscription charge, every small thing that felt like nothing in the moment. Now multiply by 4 for the year. For most people between 22 and 35, that number lands somewhere between $4,000 and $6,000 per year on things you cannot specifically remember buying. That is not your fault. That is a system operating precisely as designed. So what do you do with this? You cannot rewire your insula. You cannot manually activate System 2 every time you tap your phone. But you can do one specific thing that research shows actually works. It is called implementation intention. It was developed by psychologist Peter Gollwitzer at New York University, and it is one of the most replicated findings in behavioral science. Instead of a vague goal, spend less on small things. You set a specific trigger action rule. If the transaction is under $20 and I did not plan it this morning, I wait 10 minutes before completing it. 10 minutes is enough time for System 2 to come online. Enough time for the pain of paying to register. Enough time to ask whether this is something you actually want or something the interface designed you to want in this moment. The system will not change. The friction will keep disappearing. The denominations will keep getting smaller and more invisible. But now you know the mechanism, and knowing the mechanism is the first thing they never wanted you to have. You checked your bank account this morning and something felt off. Now you know exactly why, and more importantly, you know exactly how it works.